Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be doing my June TBR. This is going to be quite a lofty goal of books. I have a lot that I wanted to get to, and I had a lot of Kindle books that I wanted to get to. So I spun my spinner wheel for my Kindle, and then I don't have any play anymore, so the majority of my other books are going to be from my library. Let's get started with the books that I spun for. So the first book that I spun for was One Man by Lisa Renee Jones. And this says, Jax North. He's handsome, brutally so, and wealthy. Our first encounter is intense, and sex is my escape. I go with it. I go with him, and what a ride it is. And then I say goodbye. Only you don't say goodbye to a man like Jax if he doesn't want you to. I've challenged him without meaning to. He wants me, and I don't want to want him, but yet I crave him. And he tears me down, my resistance, my walls, but those walls protect me. They seal my secrets inside, and I forget that being alone is safe. Before long, my secrets begin to be revealed, and I trust him so deeply that I think maybe he can handle them. Maybe I dare to believe that alone isn't better, until I discover that Jax was never an accident. He has his secrets, he knew my secrets, and he came for me. It only has 323 ratings, but it has a 4.07. So I'm hoping this is going to be good. The next book that I spun for was A Tribute to the Alpha by Kara Wilde. This has no really anything on Goodreads, but it looks like some sort of like shifter or something along those lines. And I am kind of paranormal out, so we'll see how I feel about this. I might shove it towards like the end of the month, but that is on my TBR. So next up is Enchanting the Earl by Kathy L. Wheeler. This is a prequel novella to the Rebel Lords of London series, and it looks like it follows Lorelai and Thorn, and it seems to be pretty short. It's only 88 pages, and it seems to be some sort of like guy who is not like a rake who's not interested in debutantes, and then he sees her and he doesn't know what to do. It says, what is he to do after she faints at his feet? And then it says, but a scheming and powerful aunt determined to see her niece settled before her death threatens Lorelai's opportunity to enchant the man of her choosing. Most of these were for free, so the like quality, this, like for example, this one only has 17 reviews. They're not you know, the most sought after or the most hyped, so I can't always speak to like how good they are, because most of the time I haven't really heard that many people talking about them, but I'm excited to give them a shot nonetheless. So next up I have The Rules of Friends with Benefits by Lauren Blakely. This is again another prequel novella to the Rules of Love series, and this follows a girl and a baseball player who are friends, and I imagine you can figure out from there. So then my next up spin was Return of the Elves by Bethany Adams. I believe I got the bind up edition, but I will probably only read the first one unless they're all like super good and I just feel like binging them. It says, a hidden conspiracy, a threat that spans worlds, a fate long foretold. When Erilyn journeys through the veil to confront her elven father, she's launched into a life-altering quest for acceptance and a place to belong. Journey into a realm where half-bloods, exiles, scouts, and seers band together to prevent their world's destruction. So I'm pretty excited about that. I love anything elven, elves, anything like that. I have been in the mood for a fantasy, which is weird because I was just talking about how I'm kind of off paranormals right now, but I want just something like all-consuming, you know? And that sounds really good to me. I might end up reading all 4 of them. We'll see. So then I also spun for the prequel novella in the Born in Blood Mafia Chronicles by Cora Riley. I read the first one, Bound by Honor, I think, and that follows the same couple as this one, but this is from his point of view, which I gave it 3 stars the first time I read it, like her book, and I'm interested to see how I like them after reading this one, because you were in her head so much, all of the like characteristics about her that I found annoying were just like put to the forefront. So I'm hoping that reading this one from his point of view will kind of help me understand the appeal, I guess. So we'll see how that goes. This is like just your stereotypical like mafia, and he is like capo for like one region. She is like the daughter of a capo from another region, and they like married to like, you know, bring their regions together. Next up, we have the second book in the Forbidden Bodyguard series by Ainsley Booth. This sounds like it's a bodyguard age gap, which it's 256 pages, so I'm not quite sure the storyline other than that. I'm assuming, you know, they like fall in love situation, but it sounds good. Both of those things sound good to me. So then we have Love Only Me, which is the first book in the Scandal Meets Love series by Amanda Morell. This follows Narissa, who owns a women's only gambling den, and Seth Blakely, who is a duke, and he is trying to see his sister married off, and then he ends up walking into the Lady Narissa's gambling hell, and I guess that's where they have their chance encounter. Teach Me by Ella Sheridan. This is the first book in the Southern Nights series, and it follows PI and ex-military special security specialist Conlon James, who is charged with being security for Southern Belle Jess Kingston, who is healing from her ex-boyfriend's brutal attack. It looks like this is part of a series, so it might not have an HEA or an HFN, so we'll see how that one goes. So next up is a paranormal romance, but it's fine. It is War of Hearts, True Immortality, Book 1. It sounds like she escapes someone who maybe is holding her captive, and then the person tasked with protecting her is the alpha of the clan McLean, Connell, and they are a band of werewolves. All right, so then we are going to go into the books that I have checked out from my library. The majority of these are going to be audiobooks, and we will see how I feel about them. They're a pretty wide range of books because I kind of just read them as they come up. So the first one is The Girl with the Louding Voice. This is the story of a teenage girl growing up in rural Nigeria who wants to get an education, and it says, despite the seemingly insurmountable obstacles in her path, she never loses sight of her goal of escaping the life of poverty she was born into so that she can build the future she chooses for herself and help other girls like her do the same. Her spirited determination to find joy and hope in even the most difficult circumstances imaginable will break your heart and then put it back together. The next up that I have to read is a very, very short audiobook, and it's supposed to be pretty funny, which I don't really read a lot of like funny reads, so I'm pretty excited about that. It is only 273 pages. Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu. Willis Wu doesn't perceive himself as a protagonist even in his own life. He's merely generic Asian man. Every day he leaves his tiny room in a Chinatown SRO and enters the Golden Palace restaurant, where black and white procedural cop show is in perpetual production. He's a bit player here too, but he dreams of being a kung fu guy, the highest aspiration he can imagine for a Chinatown denizen, or is it? After stumbling into the spotlight, Willis finds himself launched into a wider world than he's ever known, discovering not only the secret history of Chinatown, but the buried legacy of his own family and what that means for him in today's America. Playful but heartfelt, a send-up of Hollywood tropes and Asian stereotypes. Interior Chinatown is Charles Yu's most moving, daring, and masterful novel yet, and it's booked as humor. So I hope it's a good one. Of course, on the end of me not wanting to read any paranormal romances, my hold for A Hunger Like No Other by Cresley Cole, which is the first book in the Mortals After Dark series, came through. So I'm definitely gonna give that a shot. I'm not quite sure what it's about, but it's a loved series, and I'm excited to get to books later on in the series, so we'll see if I save that and end up just renewing it until I feel like reading paranormal again. And then I have some carryover books from my last month's TBR that I wasn't able to get to. So we have A Duke by Default by Alyssa Cole. This is about a woman blacksmith who moves to Ireland to apprentice for this guy, and they kind of have like a rocky start. And then I wanted to give Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey a shot. I haven't actually read anything by Tessa Bailey, and I know the first one, I think Fix Her Up is the name of the title, was kind of not loved by a lot of people. And so I think I'm gonna give the second book a shot. As far as I know, this is like a marriage in trouble story. We'll see how it goes. And then I want to read the last book in the Filthy Rich Americans trilogy. And I know there's like a separate book that follows McAllister, but it's called The Deception, and this is by Nikki Sloan. And it's just a continuation and, you know, a finale of the story. And I am super excited to get into it. This one and A Duke by Default, I probably am going to finish within the next couple of days, but I'm very excited. So then at some point this month, I would like to read Raven Song by TJ Klune. This is the second book in the Green Creek series, and I read the first one for the Paranormal Readathon, and I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was beautiful. They're very, very long though. I think this one, the audiobook for Raven Song, is like 20 hours. But it follows Gordo, who is the main character from last book's like kind of pseudo dad, I guess. So I want to give that a shot. He's a witch, and then his love interest is, I think he's like the security detail for the alphas in pack. So I'm interested to see that. I'm interested to give that a shot. I think the audiobook is going to be maybe a better route to go, because I would try to cram the first one into like a day, and my ebook was like over 700 pages. It was very overwhelming, so I'm hoping this one will kind of leave me with a better taste, I guess. I gave the first one 4 stars, so like it was not a bad book at all. It's actually really beautiful, but we'll see how Raven Song goes. And then I would like to read 3 books by Cat Sebastian: The Soldier's Scoundrel, A Little Light Mischief, and A Gentleman Never Keeps Score. These are all historicals. And then I also want to read The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. Again, all 4 of those are historicals. I'm not quite sure like what exactly the premise of them is. I think A Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics is about a woman who builds things, but other than that, I'm not quite sure what the others are about. So then the last books that I'm going to read for my Kindle Unlimited library, separate from my regular Kindle, like the 10 that I spun, but these are books that I got specifically from Kindle Unlimited. So the first one that I want to read is Working Out the Kinks, and this is a fairly short story. It says, grumpy, broken rock star who falls in love with a lonely, relentless, spoiled brat looking for someone to belong to. So much angst, so much arguing, so much spanking, and a touch of taboo. Avoid at all costs if you don't like those things. So that's one of them. Next, I want to read Chaos, the first book in the Library of the Profane, and this is a paranormal reverse harem about demons, necromancy, things like that, and it's by, I think it's by, I'm not sure. Then I would like to read Never Mine by Bryce Oakley. This cover is wow. So it sounds like a fake dating at a wedding situation. One is trying to get an endorsement deal because they are a soccer star, and then the other one is something along the lines of like she was just invited to the wedding and she needs a date. So we'll see how that one goes. This cover is immaculate. The last one is Deep Inside by Yumi Cox. There's not much on Goodreads to kind of explain what it's about, but I would also like to give that one a shot. I think it's A Marriage in Trouble. I could be wrong. We'll see how that one goes because I have no idea what it is, but we're gonna give it a shot. So those are all of the books that I plan on reading in June. Make sure you comment your thoughts on any of the books that I talked about down below, or any of the books that you plan on reading. I would love to know, but other than that, I will catch you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching.